troupe with some friends. Recording in progress. There we go.
Yeah.
I started doing like improv locally, like, from school plays out in the world and stuff like that. So, I was always interested in kind of writing and performing. And then um, I was an actor in high school. So I did like I was an extra in a TV show. It was like kind of my first real job, which was actually one of the best jobs I could have gotten because I got to just watch everybody on set and kind of see how a set operates, which was like really valuable. And then when I went to college, I met a bunch of friends, and the best thing I got out of college was meeting these guys and starting a sketch comedy group. And what we did in our spare time was just film sketches all the time. Every week we would film and write probably about two sketches a week at least. And every week we would put up a live sketch show where we would perform like five or six live sketches and then show some of our videos. And we did that for like 6 years. And so in doing that, I just got a lot of hours using the camera and editing and figuring out how to tell a story visually. And so the thing that I learned on the other side of this is I didn't need to go pay a ton of money to go to film school to get that experience because all I needed was a camcorder. Now you have your phone, you don't even need that. And my friends. I think the most valuable thing you can do is to find people that are as excited as you are about making stuff and make stuff with them. And it's going to be bad at first. Most of our stuff is terrible when we started, but you just get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And it was the best education I could have had. Okay, so basically, we got a TV show out of that sketch group. It was called The Whitest Kids You Know. It ran in like the 2000s, and some of our stuff was like a popular on YouTube. You can look at it. A lot of it is very inappropriate, so don't look at it at school. But I got a gig that way, and I directed that show. And then out of that, I made a really terrible movie in 2008 called Miss March, which was like a total failure because I made it for the wrong reasons. I wanted to be famous and I didn't care about the story. I just wanted to like have success. And it was awful. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. The movie's terrible. And so the best thing I could have done after that was what I did, which is just start writing for myself to entertain myself. And when you write something just for you that you love, it's going to be better than if you write something with a goal in mind. And that is like the best lesson I can offer is like whatever you're going to make it because you love it the most. Make your favorite thing that no one else can make that you want to see, and then you're on the right track. When you make something to get something, you're not going to make anything good. So Barbarian and Weapons was me writing my favorite thing. I wanted to write my favorite movie. Weapons for me is a really personal movie. It's about a friend who died, and I just wrote something that only I could write in that moment for myself. And I because it's so personal and so urgent, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, if you like the movie, but I'm very proud of it because it means something really important to me. Okay, so that's my spiel. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Yeah, please.
How do you get into the industry?
That is like the question, right? How do you get into the industry? Okay, so look, there's the traditional path that I think a lot of people take where they want to move to LA and like get a job at a production company or at an agency or something like that. And you can do that, and you can go to film school and you can kind of learn a little bit. I think the best way to get into the industry for me is to just start making stuff. If you want to be a director, just be a director right now today. Just be a director. And what makes you a director is that you direct something. And that could be something super lame. It could be you like cutting stuff together on your phone with your friends, like I'm saying. But once you do it once, you are a director. And if you keep doing it and you get better and better and better and you have interesting stories to tell, people will start to notice. There's this guy named Curry Barker, okay? He's a YouTuber and he does these sketches on YouTube and some of them are good, some of them are bad. But he made a found footage movie that he put up on YouTube. It's called Milk and Cereal, Serial. He made it for $800 and it did pretty well. And it got him enough money. I think they gave him like $3 or $4 million to make his next movie, which he just made. I've seen it. It's called Obsession, and he just sold it for $14 million to Neon. So it's like that guy didn't have any industry inside track. He just He just started making stuff all the time. Like every week, he would make a new sketch and he would put it up on the internet. So the way to get into the industry is not to wait for the industry to give you permission, is to just start doing it and let them come find you because you're that good. You know, I don't think it's like a TikTok thing. I think you got to learn editing. You got to learn to tell a story. You know, learning to tell a story is like really all the power is with the writer and the filmmaker. And you if you're a filmmaker who has no grasp of how to tell a story, you're kind of missing the key core element here. And so there's a book, I don't know if you guys have talked about this book, and a lot of people hate it, but it's called Save the Cat. And it goes through like the anatomy of just about every movie you're ever going to see. And what's really fun to do is to take the 13 beats. It's called the Blake Snyder beat sheet. It gives you step by step every movie you're ever going to watch and every movie you love. It kind of follows this. And it's fun to pick a movie that you think doesn't and like look at the beat sheet and identify the beats in your favorite movies because they're all there always. And even me, as someone who wrote like Barbarian and Weapons have very unique structures, I still think and a lot of people cite me as an example of why you don't need the Blake Snyder beat sheet and the Save the Cat formula. I'll be the first one to tell you that that structure is like gold because you have to know the rules to break the rules. And so you can't just start writing avant-garde David Lynch stuff right away and expect it to work. You have to really know what you're doing. And I think Save the Cat is like a really fun read. And even if you disagree with it, you still have to understand it. You have to understand. It's like you can't just sit down and play the piano unless you know how to play the chords. And that's a really easy way to learn, you know, the basic ABCs of storytelling and of movies in particular. But that's a great question. What else?
What in weapons, the big gun in the sky, that one scene, what did that mean?
I'm not going to tell you.
You are.
Yeah.
You can go again, but we got some.
So from her question, you said you're not gonna tell her, right? Is
Right.
that kind of like for everyone to have their own perspective of the movie?
Yeah, if I started explaining what the gun in the sky means, then I'm robbing something precious from you and from everyone else who has their own experience of the gun in the sky. You know, David Lynch is one of my heroes, and his movies are so compelling because there's all this surrealism in them. And when I watch Mulholland Drive, every time I watch it, I have a different conviction about what that movie is. And if I'm watching it with someone sitting next to me on the couch, they're going to have a completely different experience of what that movie means. And I think that's just a beautiful thing about movies in general. I also think that if I have to come out and explain my movie, then my movie's failed. You know, I'm proud that there's things that people don't understand about weapons. I think it's a strength of the movie. It's not a weakness. So it would just I think I would be unfair to you if I explained what the gun in the sky means to me, you know, because what it means to me doesn't have to be what it means to you.
Okay, I'm gonna interrupt real quick. Favorite David Lynch project, not necessarily movie.
Well, it's probably Mulholland Drive, but I'm in Prague right now, and they have a big David Lynch exhibit here, and with all of his paintings, and his paintings are also like really dark and mysterious and like gnarly and kind of violent and gross, but like so beautiful. And I don't know, I love his stuff. I'm a big fan.
You have another question?
Is weapons on streaming or is it on like movie theaters?
It's on iTunes now. You can buy and rent it on iTunes, yeah, and it'll be on HBO Max at some point soon.
How do you balance comedy and horror for your films?
That's a good question. For me, I don't really think about it too much. I don't have like a conscious plan of how to balance it. As I'm writing, I just kind of let it in when it wants to come in, the comedy I'm talking about. When I try and like force a joke in there, it's usually bad, and I usually end up cutting it out of the movie. If I think I'm being clever, it's usually kind of cringe. But if the humor comes from a character behaving authentically and not played as a joke, but just like behaving as they would in that scenario, it will more likely land. There's a scene where Josh Brolin wakes up from a nightmare and he screams like, "What the?" and he cusses, and it's kind of a big laugh because it just feels so authentic to what he's dealing with in that moment. And it's like it's not a joke, it's just funny because it's like on the nose, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, because I come from a comedy background, I, you know, that's just kind of natural to me to like, jokes tend to kind of jump into my head a lot when I'm writing. And I try and just put them all in my first draft. And then when I go and I reread, I end up just like chopping 70% of them out.
What was your inspiration for weapons? Or like, how did you get that idea?
Well, my best friend, who I started my sketch group with, died in a really sudden accident. And I just sat down to just start writing, just to feel feelings and just be creative as a way to kind of feel better. I don't know how you guys feel, but for me, my whole life.
Armand Williams and David Rubio.
Armand and David, go ahead.
Armand Williams and David
You can
Rubio.
power through. We're
Yeah,
tuning that up.
I thought it was someone in the room. I was like, yes, yes. Uh, art for me is a way for me to just feel things and to get it out. And I always feel better when I make art after I make it. It's like my favorite thing to do. And so when I was grieving the death of my friend, I just started writing. And so the kids leaving the house and this community left to just be like, where did this thing go? Where did this thing that we loved so much go? And we don't have an explanation. That's how I was feeling, And so I knew I could write these characters that were feeling the feelings that I had right then, and having them all bounce off each other and get angry and get sad and get upset because something really precious left them just felt really urgent to me. And so I was able to just kind of blast it out. I'm going to give you guys the best writing advice I ever got. And this is the way I write, and it's called elfing. Okay. And here's what you do. If you have an idea for a story, but it's so hard to write. Like writing is like pain. You know what I mean? It's a slog, and you go a little and you stop and you agonize and you go a little and you stop and you just want to quit as soon as you begin. I mean, it's not writing, even for me and for everyone I know who's a professional writer, is hard. It's like the hardest thing. So this little trick has made my life and my writing so much easier. And here's what it is. It's called elfing. You pretend that you hired a little elf. And he's like this big and he's stupid. He's just like a dumb little elf. And you pretend that you hired him to write your whole movie for you. Okay. Now here's the thing. He's not going to do a good job. He's an elf. He's an idiot. Okay. But you don't care. You just want him to just get you a draft. Once you get a first draft, then you can go in and you can be smart and you can fix it up. So you pretend, this is what I actually do this. I pretend I am a little elf. And my job is not to make it good at all. My job is to write the worst version of whatever scene comes next. Just elf it out. Just bang, 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 bang. If it's embarrassing and the dialogue is terrible, I don't care. If it's got typos, I don't care. If it doesn't even really connect to the scene that came before, and I know it's not really going to connect to the scene that comes after, it doesn't matter. I'm only paying this elf $10 to write this draft. So I get what I pay for, right? But what happens is because I don't care, because I'm like totally free to just like let my fingers go faster than my brain, what always happens is something I really love will come into it. And I'll go really quick and I'll get to the end of my first draft. And that draft would be embarrassing. I would never show it to anyone. But that's okay because I named the document Elf Draft because I know it's bad, right? But I get to the end. And once I get to the end, I have learned so much about my story. I have learned so much about like where to go and how to fix it. I've already got all these ideas. And now my second draft is when I actually name the document whatever I want it to be. And now all I got to do is go and clean up what the elf did, and it's no longer this like intimidating boulder up a hill. Now I just got to go fix stuff. And I'm telling you, it's such a magical hack on how to write something. And if you take anything away from this, one, make your own stuff. Don't wait for anyone to come give you an opportunity. Make your own opportunity. And two, elf it.
Is that something that you came up with yourself, or is that just?
I'm friends with this director. I mean, I kind of always did a version of it. I used to name my draft like terrible version. And then I'm friends with this director named John Watts, who did like the Spider-Man movies and a bunch of stuff. And he called it elfing. And so I really love that idea. Like I didn't imagine I was paying an elf, but I have since we had that conversation. Yeah.
So like say from what you've like seen in terms of media, like what authors or directors like movies or books that you suggest like reading, watching, etc. like like to sort of get a basis and inspiration from?
Well, I mean, inspiration in what regard? Like to become a better filmmaker or a better writer, or just fun books to read and get excited about reading?
Not just sort of like inspiration for like story ideas, like just idea, just like things that really have inspired you to like become a director yourself.
Well, for me, what really inspired me is the Coen Brothers movies. I think they're kind of as good as it gets. So Raising Arizona, I saw that when I was like 13 years old, and it blew my mind. And I decided right then, like I was like, I have to do this. But for those of you who don't know, they made No Country for Old Men, which I think is a masterpiece, and Fargo, which is maybe my favorite movie. So I'm a big fan of those guys. Paul Thomas Anderson, I'm a big fan of. David Fincher, I'm a huge fan of. I watch his stuff. The books of Cormac McCarthy. Speaking of the Coen brothers, Blood Meridian is to me a book that opened my mind up. It's about serial killer cowboys, and it's written in like this insane, beautiful poetry. And I read it twice through, immediately. I love it to death. So, but you got to go find your own thing, whatever lights you up. Kurt Vonnegut really kind of lights me up. So, yeah. I'm really into Roy Anderson, who's like a Swedish filmmaker and makes really weird stuff. I don't know. But my taste is my taste. But what I encourage you to do though is when you find a movie that really like speaks to you is I watch it again and again and again.
Olivia
Like
Sanchez, please come to the front office.
definitely go to
Olivia
the front office.
Sanchez, please come to the front office.
Yeah, so study. It's when you find something that really speaks to you, watch it a bunch, watch it with the sound off, so you can pay attention to the editing and the shot structure. That's really helpful. And yeah, no shame in repeat viewings of something that inspires you. Stanley Kubrick, also, sorry, that's like my favorite guy in the whole world. Okay, what else?
Is there anybody that hasn't asked a question yet? I don't want to make sure that okay, we work over there.
How do you decide how and when to end like the story, like your film? Like,
You want to start the story at the latest possible moment, and you want to end it at the earliest possible moment. Every scene of your story should be the thinnest version of that scene. It should be only the bare bones of what is needed to tell that story. You want your story to be lean, mean momentum machine, right? So you want to start every scene as late as you can, and you want to get out of every scene as early as you can. Now, when you're elfing, you don't need to worry about that. You just write, 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 write. But when you go back and you do draft two, you want to think like, what is the point of this scene? Like, why is this scene necessary? If your movie could exist without your scene, I promise you, your scene is boring. It's boring. And the only crime a movie can commit is to be boring. I would rather watch a terrible, interesting movie than a boring, highfalutin, amazing movie every time. So you want every single scene to be pushing the story forwards, and you want it to be just cut all the fat, be ruthless with it. And that's how you know when to start and when to end a story. Is like when you absolutely can't, go any further with that's when you know.
You got a question here, right? Go ahead.
what would you say is the most difficult part of your job compared to what the most rewarding part is?
The most difficult part, writing is really hard because you're alone and you're filled with doubt and you don't know if you're writing something good. And I promise you, every script I've ever written at some point, I was positive that I was wasting my time and embarrassing myself. That's just part of the writing process. So when you're writing and you feel like this sucks, no one's going to like this, welcome to being a writer. Like you joined the club, that's just like, that is just the job. You feel stupid and you feel like you're wasting your time. It doesn't mean you're writing something bad. It just means you're smart. Here's bad scripts by dumb people are written with like, this is awesome. Like that's the mentality. And that is like, that's a recipe for disaster. Smart people who write good things are constantly doubting themselves. You should constantly be wondering, is this good enough? How can I make it better? And that's not a fun feeling, but that's you should be attacking your story all the time. After you elf, when you're elfing, don't think any of that stuff. Just get it done. But afterwards, you have to be really, really ruthless. So that's hard. The other part To answer your question, the most rewarding part is in the edit, because then the movie just gets better and better and better, and all your hard work just starts paying off, and it's a joy. It's the greatest thing in the world. The thing that I think people don't talk about enough is like when you're making a movie, when you're in production, it's like we all get like great ideas about what we do with the camera and how we would shoot this and how our story should go. But what the other half, that's all really important. Knowing your technique and having a point of view and creative ideas is wonderful. The other half that you can only learn by just doing it a bunch is the psychic war that is directing a movie. You are always running out of time and running out of money, and it is hard decisions all the time, and it's a pressure cooker, and it's all on you to like stay positive and stay clear. And that is the one of the most difficult parts of the job that no one really talks about. And you need a good disposition, and you need a good constitution. And so um, that's something that you really can only kind of figure out if you're up to it by doing it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of really smart, creative people who have wonderful ideas and probably could make a movie if they didn't have to interact with other people. But unfortunately, you do.
Okay, anybody else that hasn't had a chance to ask the question? Or okay, I think you guys have all talked, so keep the questions coming. Do you have a time that you need to be done, Zach?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I don't want to spoil anything, but in the movie, when the kids are all running out the house and you can see it from security footage or like ring camera, how did you come up with that? Like, did you know when you were writing, like, yeah, this is how it's going to be shown, or was it just kind of in production, like this is how?
No, it's in the script. Yeah, I knew. Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you allowed to talk about your Resident Evil movie?
I'm here. That's what I'm doing in Prague now is I'm making Resident Evil. And it's a movie that it's going to be a weird one, and it follows one character from point A to point B. The whole movie is just kind of on their shoulder as they go, and they're kind of on a journey, obviously, but they're just going deeper and deeper into the depths of hell as they get closer and closer to the center of this infection. And I love those games. I don't know if you guys play those games, but I think they're a blast. And so the idea of structuring a movie that operates like those games where you're just moving through like one set piece to the next and just encountering worse and worse, infected things, to me is just so fun. And so I think it's going to be really scary, really weird. And it's going to star Austin, who's the drug addict in Weapons, is going to be the main character, who's I think pretty great.
Zach, you had your hand up first, doesn't it?
Besides Justin Long, what has been your favorite actor to work with?
Well, Austin is really wonderful. And so, there's a reason I'm doing Resident Evil with him. But, honestly, I had such a wonderful time on Weapons. I mean, look, I do love Justin Long. He's one of my, best. But dude, I mean, Amy Madigan was amazing. Josh Brolin was great. Alden Ehrenreich, Julia Garner. I mean, Benedict Wong. It was like I had 7 stars of that movie, and every single one of them was kind of a dream come true. So I couldn't really pick like my favorite, but yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Going back to the question that I asked earlier, what do you think has like been in like 3 books, like one that's like been one of your favorite of all time, like, and one that's like you've hated very like so much, like with a burning passion, and one that's like kind of in between that like sometimes you like and sometimes you don't.
Wait, what's a book I hated?
Like, it's just like I don't know, just asking about like books and stuff.
All right,
Like
yeah. Look, Blood Meridian, American Psycho is a book I've really loved. That book is hardcore. I don't. It's not for the faint of heart, but it like blew my mind. But it's great to read short stories. Here's Philip K. Dick's short stories are constantly blowing my mind. He's a sci-fi writer. He wrote Blade Runner under another name, and he wrote just a lot of Total Recall, a lot of amazing movies. But his short stories are really short. You can sit down and read them in one session, and they are mind blowing. So I highly recommend Philip K. Dick. What else? Yeah.
A moment in your career that you'd say like changed everything for you?
Well, yeah. So, when I wrote Barbarian, I my career was basically cooked. I was about 40 years old. I had not had a job in a while. I was like running out of money. And I wrote that script that I was really proud of it. But it's a weird movie. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it is not a traditional structure at all. It's a movie that kind of fully resets itself a third of the way in and then fully resets itself again. And it's weird. Um, and I made a spreadsheet of every production company that had made a horror movie in the last 10 years. And I got that script to every single one of them. And Jordan Peele's a really good friend of mine. I gave it to him and I thought maybe he was going to make it. Nope. Every single company passed. I got no's from, and that's every company in LA that makes horror movies. All of them said no. Um, and I didn't know what to do. I was thinking maybe I'll sell my house and I'll take out some credit card debt and I'll see if I can scrape together enough money to like just shoot this by myself with some friends if I can. I just had to make the movie, and that's a good place to be in. When you just have to make the movie and you're going to risk everything to do it, then you're on the right track. You know what I mean? If you're kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you're probably not going to make something that great, honestly. But if you're like, I would die to make this, you probably should follow through. Don't die, make the thing. Um, and so what happened was I met these two young weirdos who liked my sketch show and had produced some ultra like low budget, like really ultra low budget horror stuff. And I sent it to them and they called me and they were like, hey, we want to make it. And I was like, you know what? I'll take any help I can get. Okay, cool. And then what they did is they sent it to Roy Lee. And Roy Lee is like one of the biggest producers in LA. And he made It, and he made the Lego movie and Minecraft and The Departed and The Ring and all these huge things, right? And Roy called me one day at 9 in the morning while I was like in bed playing video games, probably Resident Evil. And he just cold called me. He was like, hey, Zach, it's Roy Lee. I didn't know who it was at the time. I was like, okay. He's like, I read your script. I think it's great. How much do you think it would cost? And I was like, $5 million? He's like, yeah, we can do that. It changed my life. Like I just got that phone call out of the blue where he was just like, yeah, I'll help you. And once Roy came on, suddenly everybody was like, leaning in and listening. And I got $4 million to make Barbarian, which is very little amount of money. And the only way it could work is I had to go to Bulgaria to shoot it. And I did. And no one spoke English. My whole crew was like, didn't speak English, but I had to figure it out. And then, that movie, by a miracle, got released in theaters and it did well. So Roy Lee calling me at 9 in the morning while I was in bed playing video games was that moment that changed my life.
You've talked a lot about influences as books and movies and Resident Evil. Is there any other, like, is video games a big part of your life? Are you a big gamer? Is it just kind of like
I'm a huge gamer. It's kind of like my only real vice is video games. I play all the time. I love them. I think that they actually do give me they keep my visual brain juiced, and so I think that's helpful. But yeah, here's another little invaluable piece of filmmaking advice. Raise your hand if you're interested in being a director. Is anyone here? Okay, great. So some people, good. Okay, best advice I can give. This is what the Coen brothers do. This is what I do. You plan every angle out that you're going to shoot like weeks before you get to set. What you don't want to do is show up on set and look around and be like, okay, what if we do this? Now, Steven Spielberg does that. Werner Herzog does that. There's a lot of amazing Tarantino does that. They just make it up when they get there. That's fine. It's not a bad way to go. But what I like to do, and what David Fincher does, and what the Coen brothers do, is I like to storyboard the entire movie well in advance. And then I go to set with my cinematographer and I pick the lenses and I pick the angle and I photo board the entire movie. And then when we get to set, we have a giant poster board and I have every shot we're going to do that day on the board. So everybody on the crew sees what we got to do, when, what it's going to look like. And once we get the shot, we go and we pull the photo off. And what that allows me to do is go to the location or sit in my, house and be creative without feeling any anxiety. No one's tapping their watch because we're running out of time. No one's watching me have a bad idea and judging me. I can have all the bad ideas I want and come up with the shot structure totally by myself or with my cinematographer, and it's fun. The best thing you can do as a creative person is to do it from a place of joy and fun. The worst way you can be creative is from a place of like results, or from high pressure, or when you're panicked. You want to create space for yourself to be careless, because being careless, that's the secret. If it's easy, you're doing it right. If it's hard, you might not be. And a lot of times in America, we're always taught like all good things are hard. No, no, no. Not when it comes to creativity. Creativity should just kind of spring. That's what you want. You want to pay attention. You should follow your bliss. Follow whatever is the most fun thing you can think to write that you can just sit and just go. That's what you should be doing. Don't be thinking about what other people want. Think about what's fun for you. So I try and bring that into every aspect of filmmaking, from like the writing of the script to the shot structure to the way I talk to actors to the edit. It should all just be kind of like a, a blast if you can. Now that's not always possible because it's a incredibly high pressure thing that we're doing. There's a lot of emotion and money at stake, and people get really stressed out really easily, and that's fine. That's going to happen. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong, but you want to try as much as you can to allow yourself to create in a garden of like of fun and like no stress, and you want to find collaborators that don't stress you out. The most valuable thing you can get, the most valuable thing I got out of my college existence was meeting people that was really fun to create with. And I didn't need to go spend $100,000 to do it, but I did. But if you find people that are like turn you on creatively and are down to like make something with you, right there, that's the most valuable thing you can get. Like that is worth its weight in gold. And you should run with those people and make stuff. Yeah.
Got time for a couple more questions. Whoever wants to go.
What's your favorite like sci-fi horror movie?
Can you say it a little louder?
What would you say is your favorite sci-fi horror movie?
My favorite sci-fi horror movies. Good question. Well, Alien is great. Love Alien. 2001 Space Odyssey is pretty cool. It's a weird one. I think I watch that movie every couple of years, and it means something different to me every time I watch it. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. What's yours?
I'd say mine would be. Would you consider Sunshine as a sci-fi horror?
Yeah, of course I would. Yeah, that's a great answer. That's awesome. What a good answer, dude. I love that.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a question still? We got time for a couple more, and then if you be willing to do a photo, we would just like to take a photo with everybody who's
Yeah,
here.
of course.
Okay. You want to these two photo questions right here, and then
Back to what you're saying about the elfing thing. Would you have any more advice for writing? Like, if elfing doesn't work, is there like another thing you turn to?
Yeah, I mean, if elfing doesn't work, which it often does, so don't discount elfing, but go write your favorite scene of the movie first. Even if it's not the first scene, but you just can't wait to write that scene, go write that scene. You want to eliminate resistance. So whatever feels fun, even if it doesn't make sense, just do it. If you're writing a script and you hit a wall and you're like, I just don't know, just like here's what I do. If I hit a wall and I don't know, sometimes I'll open a notes document and I'll say, I'm going to write 5 terrible versions of what could happen. And they're all going to be bad, but I have to write 5 different ones. And I just start blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, the worse they are, the better. And what'll always happen, not always, but a lot, is a good idea will just kind of come out of that. Because what you want to do is turn your brain off. And you want to just kind of obey your subconscious and almost be like an antenna to something else out there. And that sounds really weird, but that's what David Lynch did. He has this amazing book called Catching the Big Fish, where he talks about how to use transcendental meditation for creativity. And this is something that I do. If you don't know about TM, transcendental meditation, dude, it'll change your life and it'll help you become a calmer, more focused, more creative person. And it only costs 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon, and it's beautiful. And so what David Lynch would do is he would meditate, and as he would kind of dive down into his subconscious, these ideas would just come. And he would call it catching the big fish. And so that's another thing to do if you're having a hard time writing, is just go find a quiet place, try and turn your brain off with a mantra, or go for a long walk and just shut it down. Don't be on your phone. Don't be playing video games. Don't watch a screen. Just go Go somewhere where all you have is the echoing chamber of your own mind, and something will jar loose. I think I honestly like I'm gonna sound like such an old dude now, but like this is the enemy. This is the enemy of everything you want to do, except for the camera and the microphone. Like, dude, being sucked, having your brain sucked into your phone for hours a day is robbing you of the boredom that is crucial to having ideas. Ideas often come from just being the ping-ponging of your own brain, lodging something. And you don't get that when you're stimulated all the time by this. It's so sad. It's such a tragedy. And I'm so guilty of it. I am I do it all the time. You guys have no idea how much hours I waste on this, but that's what sucks about living in 2025.
Okay, I think we're gonna have to stop there. So, will everybody please give Mr. Cregger a hand? Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you guys. Thanks very much. It was lovely to talk to you.
You guys want to gather up here? We'll pose in front of the screen if you want to be part of the photo. Take the pic with my phone, Michaela. So you guys can just get it on either side of Zach. So have more people on that side.
It's the button or
Okay.
this one? Okay. I got you, Mr. Kyle.
Okay.
Let's all get
Give us a countdown or something so we
I
know
will
when
give
you
you
smile.
down. Hey. Oh.
Okay.
He's waving. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you guys scoot in this way? Yeah, I can't see y'all. Right. Thank you. Wait.
Ready?
Yes. 3, 2, 1. That's not flash. Sorry. Okay, well, I got
Okay,
it.
we'll be all right.
All
All right. Thank you again, sir. I appreciate
Yes.
your time. Thank you so much for doing
Thank you
this.
very much. Thank you.
All right.
Everybody. Good luck.
Bye.
Cheers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thanks for coming, guys. It is 1:20. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Whatever you can say, please come to the 7 office.
Take the SD card.